or the Goans at that time, or Konkani speaking people, had settled down, was around these forts and had spread a little bit inland into the small towns and cities. And again, we was, with our background was in agriculture, we established, got a little land here and there, and the Indian government was quite encouraging to these people. My family settled down in a place called Umzu, which is not far, it's about 18 kilometers from Mangalore. It is also next to a town which is on the river Netravati, which connects to the sea. It's about 16 kilometers again from the sea. And that place was called Farangipet. Farangi, you know, you're related or have connections with the Portuguese. So, and Pete is just a shopping place, a market for our city. So, there were a lot of our people there. Umzur goes a little bit into the interior. And that church is one of the oldest churches that was established there. Tipu came to first, Mangalore fell under Hyder Ali in 1763, and in 1784, Tipu, in 1781, Mangalore fell under a small force sent by the British from Bombay, and Tipu regained it in 1784. And around that time, there would have been around 40,000 Catholics from Goan descent in Canada, and probably another 10,000 in the interior cities. Why I can give these figures is that this figure of 40,000 is mentioned by a Goan priest, one Father Joaquin Miranda. He comes from Kalauli, and he was settled in what he calls the missions for about 27 years. And he was a very influential gentleman because he knew the Viceroy and others. So he gives that figure, and we have this figure of another 10,000 because Hyder took a lot of families from Mangalore as mercenaries, as paid into his service in terms of house rooms and to manage garrisons.
These are like, they were enslaved, they were not most, it was not out of the free will that they were taken, they were forcibly taken and forced to join the army.
No, not by Hyder. They were paid quite well.
Okay, so this is prior to, this is okay.
Prior to Tipu. This was around 1768 that time. Now in 1784 when Tipu took the fort back, he had all the Christians arrested and deported to Srirangapatna. So this part of the history, the shared history, goes. You never had this sort of captivity involved. So the sharing at that stage sort of silver sharing. The reasons are there. I try to explain in my book, Slaves of Sultans. See, Tipu has been made out to be a bigot. Tipu has been made out to be a lot of things, which I don't think is the real story. I have tried to understand him. He was a young man, only 32 or so. And at that time when he took these decisions, he had suffered a lot of reverses in Mangalore. Very major reverses which any one of those incidents could have destroyed his rule immediately. Essentially, there was a basic difference in the approach of establishing his legitimacy over the state which he had inherited. And he called the Sultanate the Dadar, which is the God-given kingdom or Sultanate, and with Hyder. Hyder never tried to establish his legitimacy over the state. He used the Wadiyar, but he kept the Wadiyar captive. Okay? And he said he ruled under the Wadiyar's name, but the Wadiyar was totally a prisoner. Now, when Tipu came to power, one of the things that was happened was the Minister of Intelligence, one Shamaya, he would be of Tamil origin, was employed by Hyder. He instigated a coup under the using the icon of the Wadiyar, tried to put him back on the throne. At the same time, from the southern states, an English army had crossed right through, because it was not defended very well. All the army was trapped at Mangalore. And that army went right through, ripped right through, up to Coimbatore and Palghat. It reached Palghat. Palghat is today on the Kerala border, right from there. And it threatened Srirangapatna. So by now, Tipu realized that the Wadiyar was focused under which all the votes could and yet to be suppressed. But he could not do it openly. Could not do it openly because 95% of his population is not exactly net, but in the core region at least, the majority of them were revered the Warrior as a king and as a channel to the divine. So he instituted a policy in which he had to placate his elite, which were composed of Muslims, which were just about 5% of the population. And for them, to do that, he got the Senate or the letter of authority or sanction from the Mughal in Delhi, sent his embassy and got there. And the other one, he also sent his embassy to Constantinople. It was about 2-3 years by the time they returned. Very few of them returned. And with this, he instituted a lot of things to favor the Muslims, give them favor immigration and other things. But he had to also establish a certain sort of legitimacy among his non-Muslim population. And this was very diverse. You had from Kerala, from Malabar to Tamil Nadu, to North Dharwad area, Telugu regions, then this side up to Sunda. So, then you had Kodagu as well and things. So this he did, taking the emblem of the Cholas and the Hoysalas, who were far before them, and that was the tiger. So the tiger became his icon and his emblem. And he used the tiger stripes, which are called bugri, on his soldiers' uniforms, and all through the court. He built his new throne, which had all tiger motifs around it and such. And also on his muscles and cannon, he showed the molded tigers devouring the Ganda Veranda. Now the Ganda Veranda was the emblem of the warriors. It's a double-headed bird, somewhat like what you get on the Augustine or the Tsarist emblems of Russia. So he did this. Now, what happens to the Christians? There was no place in his policy. There was no place for them. He could not allow. Why? Because the immediate, as I said, just a small settlement was called Farangipet. The Christians were Farangis. And he calls them Nasranis. Now that term gets totally identified along with the Europeans. So we were perceived as being part of the European sphere of influence. And his greatest enemy were the Europeans. You had essentially the English. Portugal was also not very much of a friend to him, and the Dutch in Kochi. Plus you had the French who had abandoned him in Mangalore. So he decreed that Christianity was not allowed to be to survive in his kingdom. And there is a law that was there. It's law number 72 of the revenue regulations, which says clearly all Christians, use the word Kulistao or Kristao, are to be taken and brought to Sringapatna and the property is confiscated. So, but these stories about tortures, hanging and all that is, I don't know, a lot of it is, I believe it's exaggeration because you can't take such a huge, just decimate them for no reason. And from the Christian narratives, it was much later after the British came, you had to carry favor with the British. We started saying, oh, we suffered because we supported you and all that sort of thing. So now you give us jobs and such. So I think the real story is a little bit different. He took from Canada perhaps about 30 or 35,000 Christians away. All their properties were confiscated. My family is supposed to have had 2 houses and properties in Umzu. One was called the upper house and one is the lower house. And they were taken to Sringapatna. Within the first year, about a third of them died, disease and other things. Another third were taken, the youngsters were taken into the armed forces and made into military slaves, or chelas, military slaves. And the other third who were too old were given lands and properties around Sringapatna to feed themselves. So it took 15 years. Only 15 years later, these people could return, about 15,000 returned. But it was not just the Christians of Canada who were taken, and this is largely ignored or forgotten, except in a few French accounts of the missionaries there. There were a lot of, there were perhaps an equal number of Christians of Kannada speaking and of Tamil speaking Christians in Salem, Puri, and these areas, Satyamangalam, and then you had Srirangapatna,